Finally, when you get to this point, the picture is pretty good, and you might have some still have some noise and bumps on the skin that you want to get rid of. You're looking at this picture um, uh, further out, in terms of it's not a bad looking picture. But if you're finicky and you want to get rid of the remaining evidence of bumps and stuff, this was a picture I used earlier when I scanned in from a flatbed scanner. It had textured paper. There's still some little remnants of that left here. Plus, there's just standard noise from the picture. There's three different things you can do to get to help this image. Um, in every case, I don't like to work on the original picture. Let's go and do Command J or Control J to create another layer. I'm going to use the old dust and scratches removal picture, noise, dust and scratches. And you'll see here before and after. As I raise the radius up, notice it gets rid of things like the catch light in the eyes here that I don't want to get rid of. So I can go easily too far with that. So the radius needs to be pretty small. Okay, um, radius pretty small. I want to, and I can, seeing I'm working on a different layer, I can always bring back things that I want to bring back. So I can go ahead and get rid of some of that. Um, what it's going to end up doing though is getting rid of a lot of that noise here. You'll notice if I do here's the before, just look at the noise on the cheeks here, for example, the chin and the after. Did a pretty decent job of smoothing all that out without totally getting rid of the catch lights. The trouble with some of this thing is if you look at, there's a lot of little noise in the hair that it did get rid of, but there's a lot of detail it also got rid of. So it's up to you how much you want to go, how far you want to go with getting rid of the noise. Now I can go back and forth and uh, play around with the less the threshold, um, the more it's going to get rid of stuff, smooth it out. The more threshold is it's going to look for more of a difference between the noise and the background. For example, it won't, if I raise the threshold, it's up here. It's not going to do much because there's not a lot of difference. So I have to take this down until it starts to get rid of what I want it to get rid of. I'm focusing on the skin. Radius is the same thing. I don't want it to get rid of any big things like the catch lights in the eyes, for example. But I want it to just get rid of the little things, which are little bumps. So I can keep on going back and forth, keep going down. I brought the catch lights back. It's not bad doing the before and after here. Not a bad start. So I can say, okay, that's one thing to do. Uh, I've got this picture here. This is the after. This is the before. Lost some detail. Way to bring the detail back, and I'm going to use the same technique in all three of these smoothing activities. I'm going to add a layer. I'm going to hit Command or Control I to invert the layer to black so I'm not seeing the changes I made. And then I'm going to go, and one of the advices, I'm going to hit Brush, for B for brush, right? I'm going to make sure I've got a nice soft brush, round soft brush, okay? And with white, I'm going to paint the smoother skin back on the image. So I can go through here now uh, with opacity set to 100 and smooth out the skin everywhere I paint, and essentially smooth out the effects. So I'm getting rid of a lot of the bumps, if you were, the remaining bumps there, making the skin smoother, and uh, and getting rid of that kind of stuff. Avoiding painting over the eyes, and or the teeth. You can go ahead and paint over the lips a little bit. Using the bracket keys, getting smaller, I get rid of some of that noise on the lips. Now, of course, I'm in an awful high zoom level. It probably doesn't. You have to be reasonable about how far you go on this kind of stuff. If I go out full zoom level, it may or may not make a big difference. I'm showing you this for for effect. Okay, so I've essentially gone through on my mother's face and smoothed out. I haven't done everything. I could do a better job. Smooth out the skin. If I go to now, this is without the smoothing. And this is the smoothing. So you can see I've gotten rid of a lot of that little remaining texture. Smooth it out. So using this same masking technique, what I can then do is let's just go to another technique. Here's the original picture. Command J, filter, Camera Raw filter. Okay, Camera Raw filter is a fantastic filter that can do a lot of things. Let's go in here and look. There's two tools here that were developed. This one's recent. It was developed for portrait photography, I believe. If I reduce texture, watch the skin. I can smooth that skin out quite a bit. If I do the same thing I can do with clarity. Now, of course, it softens a lot of other things, but remember, we're going to brush this in. So I can say, okay, I'll reduce clarity a little bit, I'll reduce texture a little bit. I'll fool around with these until I get them where I want them, okay? In fact, one of the techniques I like to use is overdo it a little bit. Okay, so it's too smooth. You got that? Too smooth. Go back. Okay, I've got it too smooth. If I go back out, you can see the picture. This is the after. This is the before. I've got it too smooth, but just focusing on the skin like I did before. Masking, Control I, blackout, brush B, brush white on the skin. Second B, got the wrong key. White on the skin, and brush it in. Now, I can brush it all in at once, 100%, or since I overdid it on purpose, I can build up the effect by reducing the opacity on the brush, and then just brushing in gently. Every brush stroke accumulates a little bit more of the effect, and so I can go around here and smooth the skin out that way. The other way of doing that is if I used 100% opacity on this thing and painted it all in with 100%. Okay, let's just assume I'm not going to do that won't do everything. It may end up saying, oh, that looks too smooth. Let's say quickly that's 100% capacity. I haven't done a good job. Too smooth, I can always reduce the opacity of the layer itself by clicking, making sure I'm on the layer itself, on the layer, and then reducing the opacity of the layer by a certain amount until I get it to where I want it. That reduces the effect. So if you overdo the filter, you can reduce the effect by doing that. Now, using this same layer and masking, I'll show you one more tool. Get rid of that one. Do the same thing. Control J, got a copy. Go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. The reason I'm showing you three tools is if different tools work different on different pictures. You can see what this has done. It's blurred the picture, right? I can blur it less or I can blur it more, but focusing on the skin, I'll blur it to something that looks reasonably good. Hit the before and after thing. There it is. And I'm looking at it this way. I could come in and look at this at 100%. Now, sure, obviously that's blurring the entire picture, but just as in the other tools, you add a mask, you invert the mask, and you paint in the effect, okay? You paint in the blur. So those three different techniques can be used in various parts, especially skin, but various parts of the picture to remove some remaining dust and smoothing out the effect, okay?